Howdy everyone, Nimby here. Today we're going to be tying a Henry's Lake Nymph. It's a simple fly, a 2 material fly. It takes some natural gray squirrel or fox squirrel. And traditionally some pale yellow chenille. You can substitute the yellow chenille with hot orange, red, insect green, um, peacock herl, olive, or even black. So it's kind of like a Dr. Spratly in the fact that you can tie the body color in however to suit your fishing needs and time of year and that sort of thing and depth. To start off with, I bent my lead wire, so let me fix that. Start off with, we're going to tie in some lead wire. This is 1 or 10. There we are. It's took me a second to get it. Oh, there. So this is a weighted nymph. It's meant to be fished fairly deep, so we're going to be weighting it. You can use 2, you can use regular solder, kind of whatever you got handy to weight it down. Even extra wire would be fine. We're just using this because that's what I got on the bench right now, and it's just weighted wire, so it don't matter. Thicker wire will get you to where you need to go a little quicker. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We get our 12 wraps in there. Cut it off. I'm just going to tuck the tail piece in a bit. And we're going to start off with our standard. Yeah, 6/0 black and uni. If you're fishing a weighted nymph, there's really not a lot of point in going to a 6/0 or an 8/0. But you can if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to take the tag end here and we're going to lay it kind of over top of our lead wraps. That'll stop the thread from sinking in as bad, and I'll do the wraps spaced out and angled. And we'll get that tag end over here tied in. We want to leave a clear spot from the point to where the barb would be. That's where we're going to be doing all of our tail tying, and we've got a half back to put on this thing, or full back in this case. Okay, and I'm just going to put a whiff of head cement on there to hold that lead from spinning. And we're just going to counter wrap that. Well, we got the head cement on there. That'll lock it in really good. Doesn't have to look pretty, it's gonna all be covered up. We're gonna start our tail tie-in point right about where the point is on the hook. There you go. And for tail, we're gonna be using this lovely, I got lots of squirrel, but this is a particularly nice squirrel from Wapsie. Just beautiful long fibers. You're gonna want one that has some bigger, longer fibers because you're gonna be pulling it back. If you got some shorter ones and some longer tails, then you can use the fibers from the shorter tail for the tail, which you're tying in first here. Beauty. Look at that guy. You can see it's through the tail a little bit. That's kind of cool. That just shows you how long. Look at how long these fibers are on this one. That's crazy. I'm gonna be saving that top bit for like some streamers or stuff, because that is crazy long for a squirrel tail. So for the tail on this one, we're just gonna be taking some of the shorter fibers from the bottom here. There's no point in using those long ones, and they're gonna make a better tail for us anyway. So we want to have that variegated white and gray poof and black all mixed in there. Just let me finagle some out of here. And like most things, we want to use roughly a gap height. Now, I'm not going to be using any of the under fur here, so I'm going to try and push it back, but we'll strip it out if I get a bunch. There we are. And there's the under fur dubbing. Sec here, see if I got a comb. I do my comb out. If you're working higher up on the tail, you're not going to really get a lot of under fur in there, so you won't have to worry about cleaning out the under fur. Go, be gone. But closer to the butt of the tail, like we took this from, you're going to get, as you can see, a lot of good under fur. And that makes excellent, I'm not going to save this stuff because I'm not tying a dubbin, but if you tie these in order, so you got like a dubbed nymph where you got a little container you can throw it into, the squirrel under fur makes excellent dubbing if you like that. It gives you this really buggy light under fur. It's almost like a grizzly pattern to it, really, but it just adds a real nice natural buggy look to any kind of synthetic dubbing if you're mixing up your own dubbings. Okay, and we want to tie this in about the working length of the body, so not a full body length. So we're going to bring this to right about there. You can stack it, but it is just a nymph tail, so a lot of times with nymph tails, you're going to have a little more natural movement and a look if the tail isn't, 100% stacked. Do a soft wrap there, just capture it, and then we'll do a couple firm wraps to hold it in place. And we're going to be tying that back a fair bit. I'm just making sure I got it where I want it on top. You can see it's nicely spread out there. That's beautiful. I'm going to be tying it back, so it's probably going to settle down a bit, which is too bad because I really like the way that's flaring out there. But we'll see what we can do. Because we're going to tie this right back to the where the barb would be. There we go. Although I really like that kind of flat flare it had. Traditionally, you'd want it to be more of an oval flare or tubular style flare than a flat flare like you'd want on a dry. As you're pulling this through the water, you want it to pulsate, not necessarily act like a rudder. That'll do, that's better. And again, if you're making your own dubbing, you can save all this excess floof. It makes a wonderful dubbing. I'm not going to do that today. Normally would. Yeah, just toss it. Like, you don't even need to mix it into the dubbing all the time. You can even just have a container of squirrel sitting there, like a little pill box or whatever you got handy. And as you're mixing up your dubbing, just take a little poof of it and mix it in by hand with your fingers. Okay, so next thing we're going to tie in is our overwing. Then we'll do our body. So for our overwing, we're going to need to go farther up the tail. Not a whole lot. I'll save this bottom bit for probably about up to here. I'm going to save that tippity top for some nice streamer flies because that stuff's long. Let's get out. So you want this to be somewhat substantial on the top. And you want to have it a little bit longer than your tail for the length. So as long as you're sitting around there, you'll be fine because you're going to be folding it over and tying it in front like two horns. And we are going to be losing a good bit of this chunk, so once we clean it out and get all the underfur out of it. As you can see with this one, it's not nearly as, once I moved up a bit, there's not nearly as much underfur. What's there is still really great for adding a lot of bugginess to your dubbing. Just has a wonderful lifelike movement. Don't mind me, I'm just going to do this closer to my trash here so it doesn't get all over me. There we are. Now if you have a lot of, there's not a lot of point in stacking this. If you do, you can see there's some shorter fibers down here. Those are going to all end up being too short to, well, let's see here. A lot of times they'll end up being too short and they'll just not tie in when you fold it over. So if we're holding it right here, yeah, it looks like they'll just tie in. since it's an overwing, you do want to get rid of all these little guys. Still closer to the base tail, so there's still lots in there. Give me a second here. There we go. I did have a little thing of static gird that can help a lot if these are floating around sticking to you. I don't know, Valhalla, to be honest with you, it just popped up on my feed, and I was watching you working the power hammer there. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Maybe it went live for a bit before it, you know, switched over to scheduled. I'm not sure. But I did see. So it's there. At least it's pushing you out to people. That's good, you know. Alright, so I'm going to be tying this in about the halfway point here. We don't need to go too far, because we want to have a slightly bigger butt on our nymph than a head. Actually, I'm going to trim these. I'm going to trim them flat first, like so. And I'm going to trim them on an angle towards the back. Sorry, I just want to do that over my trash because that's going to get all sorts of nasty, dirty. Alright, so again, I want to have it just a little bit longer than the tail. And I've trimmed that a little bit on an angle there. Yeah, I feel you, man. I need to get a bunch of long forms done. I got a lot of half-done ideas floating around. Need to spend a day or two getting some long forms done. Good, at least you got some good sleep. Okay, so we're going to tie that in right back to where the barb would be. We're getting a little bit of a fat butt going there. We're going to be tying our chenille in the full length just to even the body out a little bit. And we're just using this vintage light yellow, which is the traditional color that he tied it in. It was tied by Fenton Roskilly. That was probably way too long. Let's shorten that up a bit. That's still too long. That'll do. I want to leave a flat, nice landing pad for all this up here. At least a bobbin width so you can tie all the head in. Again, we're going to tie this chenille all the way back. Yeah, not sure what happened there. It just popped up on my feed like a regular old video. Probably right when you did the publishing. Sometimes YouTube can be a little flippy though, so maybe it's more a YouTube problem than anything. I'm feeling like I need to throw a half hitch in there, so we'll do that. I'm gonna spin this body with the rotary. I probably should have a I should have a hackle plier on this, but we're gonna. It's amazing how many how much footage you can rack up for sure. I have one video of me working on rebuilding my motor on my bike, and I literally have it's got to be like 300 hours or something of video, which will be condensed down to like an hour. So yeah, I feel you. That's part of it though. And we're just gonna wrap that up. Oop, got a fluff. Wrap that up to the head. And again, being a nymph, we want a little bit fatter on the butt than up on the head. That's probably good there. I don't want to get too close to my head. I want to have room to tie all that in. Hackle plier or Markiplier? Um, that's a good question. Yeah, I miss Markiplier. I used to watch him all the time. Had a chance to meet him too, actually, ironically. He was up here skiing, and he flew through the airport when I was working there. Looking at the bottom there, wondering if I should tie that. Nah, it needs a good landing pad. We'll leave that alone. So this is a size 8, 2 times long nymph hook. Yeah, baby got back. This is some absolutely gorgeous. I got lots of squirrel, but this particular squirrel, I don't know if you were in here. That's like an absolutely gorgeous and huge. I mean, look at this thing. It just keeps going on for days. That is an absolutely gorgeous and huge squirrel tail. Like the length on that, it's got to be a good like almost 6 inches or so. I'm gonna be saving the top of that for some nice streamer flies. Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just having trouble separating this from the tail. It doesn't want to cooperate. Come on, buddy. Yeah, I probably should have stacked that and got the short stuff out now that I'm looking at it. I'll do that on the next one. I thought I had it out enough. Well, yeah, in hindsight, that's much shorter than I was expecting. Oh. Well, I gotta go with it now. It's too late. I think what I'm gonna do here, actually, because it's so overly poofy, is I'm gonna back wrap it, and then we'll use this and counter wrap it going forward, just to hold it all in place. I'll give it a little segmentation too. That's the only way I can really figure to save this guy. That was clearly a mistake on my part. Come on now. Probably cradle's getting in the way. Let me try that again. Once I get one or two wraps, it should lay and behave itself. Yeah, I really thought I nailed the measurement on that. I was clearly off by a good chunk. Now next time I'll stack it and pull all the short stuff out. We're still getting there though. Okay, so now we want to get a couple wraps underneath this thing. Not ideal, but I think that was a pretty good save. I'm happy with how that laid. Now I'm just gonna wrap back. I want to make some horns out of what's left up front here. There we go. Yeah, I just got home. I was a bit exhausted, so I couldn't stay too long. I think he popped in kind of right when I was popping out. Which is good though. I haven't had a cavefish stream in a while. I missed him. It's always a good time, especially with David. I like David. There we go. That's a little buggier. Actually, all said and done, this isn't going to be too bad. That was a good save. But ideally, I'd like to have this black, you know, protruding to about here, and then the white coming off. So I'd like to have the kind of what's showing here to be up ahead, so it has some pretty substantial sized horns on it. But this will definitely work. Try and separate this in half here. Always seems to. I'm going to throw a half hitch and then I can get the thread between it. Hey, mate. I like Maddie's channel. Maddie's such a good guy. Thanks for popping over. I don't know, maybe Maddie shared the stream or not, but always good to have one of Maddie's crew over here. That's for sure. I'm just gonna split this in half. It's gonna be a bit messy until I get it tied down. Oh, never mind. Try that again. That didn't work as I wanted to. Okay, I'm gonna have to actually throw a deeper half hitch on that. It's not going back far enough. I'll throw a half hitch right at the base of this thing. Day's going good. I'm ignoring my tea, which is a sin. Should not ignore tea. There we go. Yeah, that's exactly what we're here for, mate. I try to do a completely different fly every time I go live, so that is a nice thing about this hobby, is there's endless, nearly endless variety. Probably endless variety, actually. So I'm going to separate that. It's going to look ugly until I get them kind of panned out where I want them. That looks like about half. I'm just going to keep my finger on that. Get a soft wrap. And then that should lock it in. Okay, so those should be separated now. Now we can kind of figure eight them to get them to stand up. So I want to come back this way, find that separation I made, even though it's pretty light. This will get them going. That's one thing about squirrels, it's super slippy. It doesn't like to do what you tell it to unless you're forcing it. There we go. Okay, so we'll do 2 wraps. And when you're doing figure 8, like one side of the wrap that you're doing is going to be for that side, so it's not really going to affect the other. So you're really just concentrating, like in this case, I'm trying to get that horn over, and I'm not really worried about the other horn, because as we're going the other direction, that's going to put pressure on the other horn. Then we can tidy them up after. Okay, so I got 2 on that way, and we're going to do 1 wrap behind it to lock it in. Okay, now I'm going to be coming up underneath. And again, back over. Try and get it in there. There we go. Now we're working on this side. Oh, thread jumped on me there. I think I got it still. Yeah, there we go. Oh, buddy. All right, let's try it one more time. I need a hair, some rosin on there. Where'd my rosin go? Rosin. Really shouldn't be jumping around a whole lot, but it is. Wow, I don't know why this is so jumpy. I don't see a reason for it. It's not super tapered or anything. No, way back from the eye. It should be. Seriously, wow. Just doesn't want to stick on it. Well, alright. I'll try again here. We'll get it. It's going to take a few. Wow, I'm not sure why this is bouncing so much. I just don't see a reason for it. The bottom looks nice and clean. I got rosin on there too, and it's just popping. Oh, we'll get her done. I'm just gonna do a couple extra wraps here. That might be my issue. There, that's better. I'm not sure why that would make a big difference. Still, come on, buddy. Normally I can see like a step or some some kind of issue that's causing it to pop and bounce like that, but I'm just not seeing anything. I don't get it. Wow, why is this so bad? Sorry guys, I'm gonna try and concentrate on this. I'm not understanding why it's doing what it's doing. Whew. I think I'm just gonna back up and try this again here. Obviously something's wrong and I just can't see it. Yeah, it's actually a type of nymph, not necessarily dragonfly nymph, but it does look a lot like some of the caterpillar patterns I tie. But yeah, it's a vintage style, called a Henry Lake nymph. There's one like loose fiber by its butt there that's driving me crazy. I'm just gonna pull it up. There. These horns are driving me up the wall. I'm not sure why they're acting weird. It's a simple technique. I'm just trying to cross wrap these and tie them in. And it's not the horns, I don't think, that are giving me the problem. It's just my thread is just popping and bouncing everywhere. Like that. And I'm not seeing the reason for it. I'm just going to throw some more rosin on there. When in doubt, add more rosin. Yeah, this should be like an easy part. Just a couple wraps left and right, separate them. But I'm not sure what's going on. I got your side just fine. That's the way I want it. Let's get this one here. There's got to be a thread lump or something I'm not seeing. It's stopping me from getting high enough or something. There we are. That's what we want to see. Tied in one stray here too. That's much better. There we go. Hey Remington, good to have you in, mate. Haven't seen you in here in a bit. I've been switching my time frames up, so I'm doing more morning time than evening time. No, everyone's got their everyone's got the reasons for making it the way they do, right? There's no right or wrong way. Some people want cheap armor. But yeah, if someone's going to be smacking at you, you want to make sure that it's not going to be transferring to you terribly bad. You just stay focused on your end of things, making it a quality product, and the customers will come. Yeah, like it's you add a lot of weak points when you go that way, right? Because you don't have a full. My brain's not giving me the word I'm looking for. Not heft or shank. What's the name of that now? The bit of metal that goes through your handle that's connected to your blade. Yeah, it'll snap. Or come really loose. Alright, I'm gonna stop playing with that because I finally kind of got it where I want it. That's what I'm shooting for. A little left and right puff. This right puff sir just wants to do its own thing. I don't know. But it's unique. We're gonna let it be unique. But yeah, that's what we're going for. Got one hair kind of popping out down here on the yellow, but again, not gonna worry about it. I got a little butt puff going. Other than that, I'm happy with her. She looks good. I'm gonna throw a couple half hitches on that. Yeah, I mean there's lots of reasons for that. Like it's mostly to do with the vibration and putting the force in through the handle. It's a lot like edge geometry on a blade, right? It's kind of the difference between like a convex grind and something else. Kind of the same reason you don't want to have a rounded blade edge, right? You want to have something that's going to bite in. Yeah, pins are fine if it's like a secondary backup, you know, like when you're pinning scales on a handle or something. But when you're talking about that kind of force that's being transferred through, the pins can just shear off. I'm going to attempt a whip finish. It's going to be a little bit literally hairy trying to get it around those horns, but we're going to go for it. I managed to get a good couple wraps in there without trapping any. That's good. And like if you're talking about a working axe too, and not just something that's for show, the other problem with doing it that way too is if you're hitting something with your axe and you overjudge your swing and you hit on the shaft, it can make it it'll fracture at that point. It'll crack. Where if you, like you said, if you have a teardrop shape or a sharper point on the front end of it, when you hit something, those fibers will compress instead of bending, and then you'll end up with a lot less chance of it getting destroyed. Is this one good? Yeah, it looks good. Well, here, let's cut that thread off first before I do this. There's just a little tuft of under fur there I want to get rid of. Yeah, but the original, lose my thread? I did lose my thread. I'll fix that after. The original pattern calls for fairly large black head like this. I probably could have gone another 5 or so thread wraps. I'm just deleting any of those little squirrel hairs. Yeah, that's right. I was going to ask you that, how they score that. I guess, yeah, like in a real battle, if you can find a weak point in the armor and take advantage of it. It's all good. We know what you're talking about. Good amount of head cement up here. Squirrel is definitely not one of those materials for the OCD type, because it's slippy as all get out. One fiber there that. I think I got it. Yeah, well, that's no different than a lot of tools that are mass produced, right? It's generally their weak point. But they're probably thinking they can produce, 5 or 6 in the time frame that it's going to take them to produce one properly. And they're probably right. Doesn't mean it makes a good product, though. Okay, there we go. We got our horned Henry nymph. I'm not actually too set out about the ribbing I had to do to hold that down. Actually makes it look better in my opinion. Just wondering if I should throw just a whiff of Sally Hansen's on there. I think we're gonna do that just to shine that up a little bit. Really need to cut my applicator on this thing. Keep forgetting to do that. Make a nice tiny little brush out of the deal. Yeah, I mean, one thing you got to keep in mind that there's all different types of customers too, right? There's customers that are gonna want that absolute cheap thing to hang on their wall or to use, carry around, or what have you. So, but I definitely fall in the same camp you're in, where quality is more important. But there are people that will just go for the quick answer, right? And that's who they're serving. We don't have to like it. It's just the way things are. Alright, so I'm just going to rotate that. Get that. That's a Henry Lake nymph. It's tied on an 8, size 8, 2 times long, weighted nymph hook. We've used some 10 or 0.1 lead wire on it, but you can use up to 0.3 or 0.25 if you wanted to. We use some gray fox squirrel for the tail, yellow chenille for the body. You can substitute the yellow for a hot orange or red, insect green. You can even use a peacock earl if you wanted to for the body. Some people also use brown, olive, and black for the darker colors if you're going deeper. It is meant to be fish deep, that's why it's a weighted nymph. It has an overbody of gray squirrel tail, and it's tied down and divided at the head into 2 tips or horns. This was originally designed for the Henry Lakes in Idaho, and it's really popular in the Montana area, and it's good when the fish are biting deeper and you're using a sinking line. Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, after we got the first one done, I know I'm gonna make a few little modifications to how I tied that to make the next ones easier. But that's a good first attempt. I'm happy with it. I like how the horns turned out, even though they were a bit of a struggle. But that's all part of it, right? Get a bunch more done here. So next time I'll see if we can do that. I do kind of like the idea of having the cap tied down, so I might actually even tie in like a thin, I don't know if copper is the best idea for that, but I wonder what colored wire I got that would work that's thin enough. Or do I have like a nah, gold's probably too, I don't want to go too far away from the original pattern here though. I'm definitely going to stack that next tail clump and a lot more and get rid of all the little guys out of it. That threw a wrench into things. These are beautiful hooks, these tokens. I'm going to have to get more. They just make a good product. I'm really happy with it. Didn't actually buy it from their website, just came with a lot of material I bought. But I'm sure everyone's seen their advertisements, and they're pretty well known for a good product for the price. And I have to admit, this is the first time I've used their hooks, and yeah, for their advertised price, they're a good option. Just fixing my bobbin here, thread fell out. Oh, wait, yeah, we're gonna do the lead first here. We're getting ahead of myself. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Generally speaking, if I'm doing a weighted nymph, I'll do 12 wraps of whatever kind of wire. I'm not too fussed. Some people get really exact with how much weight they're putting on. And really, unless you're fishing still water, the conditions change enough that a couple wraps one way or the other is really not going to make any difference for you. Okay, so we're going to hold our tag end along the top, and then we're going to counter wrap this. We're not counter wrapping yet, but we're going to kind of wide wrap it. So we're going on top of the lead. And our tag end is going to help us hold that up a little bit from sinking into those separations. And we're just going to get that lead tail end wrapped in right to our tie-off point. That's perfect. We're going to go back up a couple wraps where it starts, and then we're going to counter wrap. Same thing on an angle. I normally throw a little whiff of head cement on there before that second counter wrap, but I forgot. So I'll throw it in now. And you don't need a whole lot. You don't want to make it goopy. That will sink down in between the threads and the lead and just help to adhere it to the hook so it's not sliding around at all. And we'll get rid of our tag end. Got some shrimp coming up. I haven't tied any scuds in a while, so I'm kind of excited for that. We're going to get some of these smaller fibers on the base of this nice squirrel tail again. Good morning, then. Good to have you in, mate. If anyone's watching, they haven't dropped a like yet for me, feel free to do so. Always makes me happy to see the number go up. And helps it being pushed out to other people so they can come join us and hang out. Okay, so we want roughly a little bit under a hook gap amount for this, because we're gonna, or you want to go hook gap, but by the time you thin it out, it's going to be a lot thinner for the tail. You can use your smaller fibers for this. Not much point using those big long ones unless that's all you got left on your tail. There we go. How the work begins. We're going to grab kind of right where the white starts and pinch that down. Everything else that's on this side that isn't trapped in there is going to go. It's just a nymph tail. We're not trying to float this thing like a dry fly. But we got a whack of, look at all that. Oh, I'm doing great. Oh, cat, no. Oh, my. Oh, cat just walked across my keyboard. 1 second. Oh. What did you do, cat? Oh. 1 second. Cat walked across my keyboard and opened up some kind of like debugging mode. It's amazing how like a cat can walk across your keyboard and like there's some kind of wizard hacksaw, you know, and they just open up all this stuff you had no idea even existed with their little paws. Yeah, just now. Oh yeah, probably wants love and food. Oh, sorry, I kicked my camera. Let's fix that. Yeah, I love her. She's really squirrely though. When I'm gaming and stuff, she'll always come over and get love. So she doesn't know the difference. Don't mind me, I'm just cleaning this out. So I get all these like really short guys out of here. They stick to everything. They remind me of my old Dalmatian's hair. It's like little quills. They're very staticky. There, I think we're good there. We're gonna be cutting off that end anyway. Like I said, for the tail part, I'm not gonna stack it. Next time I'm gonna stack my wing proper. But I like that kind of torpedo-shaped tail for a nymph. I don't necessarily like them nice and flat. Okay, we want to have this like our working body length, so right about there. Yeah, we definitely have our share of livestock guardian dogs around here. They generally do a pretty good job of keeping all the predators out. Yeah, if you got livestock like goats and that, they can be very helpful. There we go. That's better. Yeah, I just want a nice white shock like that. Hey, wee man. Good to have you in. And this time, instead of cutting this short like I did last time, I'm going to tie this in all the way along just to beef the body up a little bit. Yeah, we got lots of Great Pyrenees around here. They're a very common guardian dog. They're a big dog too. Wouldn't want to necessarily cross one the wrong way. I imagine they would be cute puppies. But what puppy really isn't cute though? But they're just like big old doofus dorks, you know, bouncing around everywhere. I don't know, man. There's some pretty big and protective guardian dogs around here. I'd rather, like, some of them, like, they can, you know, our wolves are huge here and they can keep a wolf out, so they're definitely not, they're doing a job. Yeah, they're big. They can be pretty freaking terrifying. Yeah, so I'm just cutting that out as close as I can here to get longer fibers. Such a beautiful tail, that. Okay, I'm gonna grab all the way back here, and we're gonna get rid of all that fluff. Yes, that's true. We have a few of those around here too. Yeah, I'm a big dog person. Clearly. We got to remember that that's what they've been bred for a long time, is protection, right? Oh, we still have wolves here, and our wolves are bigger than our black bears. They're huge. Actually, we about an hour or a little more than an hour and a half, or hour and 45 minutes south from where I am, is where they have all the wolf packs that they bred to repopulate Yellowstone. All the wolves and bighorn sheep all came from here. They made their own packs. They collared them all. They left them alone for a good number of years to get into big packs, and then they round them all up, tranquilized them, and shipped them to Yellowstone. And they still have several packs here that are collared, that are to keep the genetic diversity up down there. Yeah, all the wolves and all the bighorns, because they all got wiped out there, came from here. Hey Liz, good to have you in, mate. Don't mind me, I'm just fighting with some squirrel here. It's so slippy, it's hard to get all the underfur out. I want to make sure I get as much out as I can. I think I got most of it. Looks like it's all nice fibers now. Actually ended up with a lot more squirrel than I was planning on, so we're gonna have a nice thick tail here. I'm gonna stack that this time. I didn't do that last time. Yeah, everyone gets a new random animal. I need to sort it out again though. It's supposed to be random, but it seems to always pick the same like 12 animals. So I need to go in there and move them around. But there's probably like a good 60 or 80 different angles. Yeah, you're a kangaroo. We got like I don't know if that's a squirrel or a woodchuck. So I'm just stacking this right now. Yep. Yeah, I'm tying with a gray squirrel, so that's ironic. I mean, I like that little tiny chickadee or whatever it is. That one's cute too. And the bulldog's always good standard. That stream elements always seems to grab the bulldog with the party hat. Yeah, kangaroo can get jacked though. And I've only seen them in zoos, but aw. The chances of you getting killed by a chicken are very low, but never zero. Okay, so we got that all stacked nice. Look at those nice tips all lined up now. That's much better than the first time. I probably should have stacked that first batch. Unless you had a farm, why would you want a kangaroo? Be the better thing. Okay, so this time I'm going to give myself a good extra, like, the whole white part ahead of. True. Yeah, I've seen some videos of the males can get just absolutely jacked. Crazy big. Wonder if they get bigger around like mating time and stuff with all this testosterone and everything, just like deer and whatnot. I'm just gonna trim the end off flat like this and then trim it off on a 45 angle. Yeah, I thought the same thing about like the zoo in Calgary and stuff where it gets like ridiculously cold, but they still have like elephants and things like that. And it's like, yeah, just because they can survive there doesn't mean they should be. I'm just gonna double check on the length here. I'm second guessing myself now. Yeah, okay, we should be okay. Just thinning out some more of this. Hopefully I'll do a better job than I did the first time. Didn't spend enough time getting all the ploof out. Yeah, it's one of those catch-22 things because it's like they clearly have more care than what they would have in the wild. Like they got veterinary and they got food and yeah. That's the thing with something like that is it's like you're right, it's a catch-22 thing. Okay. No, don't spin on me. I liked you where you were. There you go. Okay, let's get this back. I'm probably gonna have some loose fibers coming out of there, but I think we're good. If it was a hair longer, I would have liked to tie that in up. Yeah, I bet. Hey, Shark! Good to have you in, mate. I didn't get to stick around your last one until you got some You got one just before I got on there, and then I had to pop out. Did I have enough? Maybe I do have enough. Yeah, we're just using this yellow vintage chenille. Yeah, I think I got enough on that. Yeah, should be fine. Yeah, it's one of those double-edged sword things. It's hard to know what the right answer is because conservation's caused a lot of problems, and it's also fixed a lot of problems. So it really depends on who's administering it and if they have their ducks in a row. And a lot of times with conservation, they're just going off of a hypothesis for. Um, I think it would really depend on your water temperature there, Ziggy, how cold it is, and if you have like thermals under. Because typically in the fall winter season, you're going to be, if you're trolling, you want to go deeper, they're going to be going after they're going to be going after whatever's available in the water column, because you're not going to, at least up here, you're not going to have anything hatching, right? So like I said, I can't really decide on what I wanted to do to chase that with a rib. I don't necessarily want something overly shiny. Or even gold colored. We'll try this one without chasing the top, and then we'll see how it looks. That is the original pattern, is to not chase it, but I quite like it tied down. It also makes it way more durable, because the trout teeth are gonna just chomp right through that. It's especially with animals like pandas. Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer about it, because they all are obviously learning things about the animals being in captivity. Yeah, you got it. And it's one of those catch-22 things. They have like the best intentions, but are the intentions going to fruit out to being something that's beneficial for the animals, right? There's a lot of cases, like a lot of invasive species were brought in to help the ecosystem, and then they ended up just causing more problems, like all the rabbits and bullfrogs in Australia that would have never been there, so on and so forth. But there are also success stories, like what they did in Yellowstone, and they realized that killing off all the wolves was a horrible mistake, and it actually impacted everything from the land structure to gobs of different things. The thing with like the panda breeding programs and that they have, and it's not that it's necessarily a downside that they can really control, but a lot of animals will act completely different in captivity, especially when it comes to breeding, um, than they will in the wild. So the data that they're gathering is for captive pandas, right? So they are going to have a limitation there. But a lot of people look at it as like some data is better than no data. I think the better option all around is just not to keep destroying their habitat and let them do it themselves like they've been doing for a long time, right? But we don't have control over how another country runs its resources. Yeah, I'll do that. It might be a little hair close, but yeah, exactly. And typically the ones where they're studying them in a zoo, they have a lot less negative impacts than the bigger projects that they throw in, like the bullfrogs and rabbits and stuff in Australia, as an example. When you're bringing in a species to an area that it's never been before, I can't remember, like down south there, where a lot of you guys are closer to, is it, I know it's not the alligator gars, but is it snakeheads? One of them's natural, one's not. Yeah, that's very true. Snakehead, thank you. I knew one of them, because the alligator gar, although it looks like something that was imported, and a lot of people hate it because it's, looks like a, yeah, gar are native. I always get the two mixed up, and I think a lot of people do. Excuse me, let's get some tea. But yeah, you'll see a lot of people killing gar and leaving them over on the bank and stuff, thinking that they're an invasive species when they're the natural species. And that's unfortunate. They're an interesting fish. I'm sure they have a useful place in the whole ecosystem. I've heard that. Can't remember which channel I was watching. Well, that didn't want to get tied down, did it? I'm gonna need some rosin on this one. The squirrel is slippery as all get out. It's where it's like a natural Teflon or something. I need to make myself some more rosin. This stuff's getting a little on the old side. Well, it was old like 20 years ago, but I would like some fresh stuff. Get some in the spring. This time of year is not really the best time to make rosin. You can, I mean, you just gotta find some sap pockets to harvest, but trees aren't sapping right now, so it's a lot more work. buddy. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna throw a half hitch part way up. I want to tie it in up here is what I'm trying to do. If I tie it in down below, I'm not gonna have enough room. As it is, I'm not. I probably should have given myself another 2 millimeters that way. Well, let's tie it up here with a half hitch. That'll stop it from slipping forward. There, that should help. Welcome back. Good to have you back, wee man. Don't mind me while I fight with a squirrel. I think our little, my little squirrel friend out here might have finally passed away. She's been here since we moved in. She's a big girl, and she just had her last litter, and I haven't seen her in a while. But she was quite, I'm not sure exactly how long a squirrel can live, but she's been here at least 6 years. And she is a big girl. Yeah, I haven't seen her, so I don't think she's moved on. Yeah, that's ironic, right? Oh, it's so slippy. I want this to be nice and tight there, but I got kind of a butt going on. That's okay. It was very nymph-like. We'll ride with it. I'm gonna clean out all these flyers like this after. Okay, so we're gonna do some wraps in front of it. Yeah, I've been rosining and waxing it. Yeah, I was tempted. Throw a little glue on it. Yeah, I got some beeswax here. I think I got it though. Normally rosin's enough for it to stick. Where's my beeswax? And I'm using wax thread to boot, so the squirrel's always just a bit of a battle. Such a cool material though, it's worth the trouble. You don't need a whole lot either. It just gives you that little bit extra grip. The rosin normally does the trick though. Okay, now we're gonna see if we can separate this. Just getting some under wraps to stand it up a little bit. Now, the one thing you can't change, well, is the time that you're here. You can change all those other things, though. Yeah, 100%. It is, it is. Got my one split there now, so we should be good. Stuff is exceptionally slippy. I don't know. I mean, like, there's two different schools of thought on the whole, you know, junky vise, cheap vise. But I mean, I tied my first probably like 10,000 flies on a $15 vise, so you definitely can do it. And if you look at all those, guys in Kenya and that are production tying, they're all using homemade vices that are just made out of old bolts and wires and everything. Oh, I must have banged my, sorry guys, I must have banged my camera, got it way out of focusing. Alright, now we gotta try and separate this guy and get some horns made up. Yeah. Remember, the vice's only job, like all this rotary stuff and everything is fun, and it does come in handy, but the vice's only job is to hold your hook. As long as what you're using is holding your hook in place, it's doing its job. Come on, buddy. Yeah, and like I said, that's one of your major parts of whether your vise works for you or not, is whether it holds the hook. So if it's not holding your hook, then it's not doing its job. But that being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the vice's fault, or the price of the vice's fault. Better vices are typically designed to yeah, that's what finally killed my vise, is the metal was too soft, and after like 10,000 flies, it just wouldn't hold anything anymore, even though I took it apart and filed it and did what I could to keep it together. But that finally killed it. And I got lots of older, like, Thompson vices that are kind of in that same boat. Oh, that's better. That's much better. They're a little flippy, but aren't we all? Yeah, I think I was the first one to jump on your video there. First one to drop a like on it, that's for sure. But I guess I wasn't really supposed to see it yet, so I'm not sure how that happened. Don't mind me, I'm just being overly fussy with the wispy stuff. Really? Come on, buddy. I don't know how that happened, but popped right into my feed, and I was like, oh, Bill's got a new video. That power hammer is just, that thing is cool. Just bump, 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 bump. It reminds me, like, I was a pressman for years, running a Heidelberg offset press, and it reminds me a lot of that. Like, that thing was terrifying. If you got anything close to it, it would just destroy whatever you didn't respect the thing. Not sure how you got so lopsided there, buddy. Let's fix you. There we go. There's one like little bunch here I want to play ball, but I don't think it's going to. Not sure why. I'll leave it in there until I get the half hitches in. They might set it back in place. If they don't, we can trim them out. So definitely got enough squirrel up there, that's for sure. Yeah, they just don't want to play ball. I mean, that's a pretty good separation. I like that. That's some nice poofy horns. That thing's cool looking. Yeah, just on this side here, there's this one little tuft, like 3 or 4 fibers on the bottom that is just not working for me. So we're gonna cut those out. Yeah, it is literally a half hitch. So like when you're tying your shoe and you're doing that first knot, that's basically what it is. You're just wrapping it around itself. You need to do 2, just like if you're tying your shoe and you do 1, that first knot that you do when you're tying your shoe, the crossover. If you just do 1 and then let go, it's going to fall apart. So that's why you always see me do 2. If you just do 1, it's just going to come loose. There are some cases where 1 will work as long as you have tension on the line, just like if you keep your tension on your shoelace, you know, it's not going to come undone. But 90% of the time you'll need to do at least 2 of them. And the whip finish that I do, it does the exact same knot, it just does it over and over and over again. So every time I swing it around, that's 1 more. Good for you. That's good, Ziggy. Yeah, I'd highly recommend that. Like, if you want to get better at something, like pick 1 pattern and do like 2 dozen of them. And I'd say for your first 6 or so, play with the pattern a little bit. Like, tie it a little farther down, tie it a little farther up. Give it a big butt like this. And play with the pattern a bit, kind of like I'm doing with this one today. And then once you kind of get it dialed in where you want it yourself, then shoot for consistency with the next 12 or so, and try to make the next 12 exactly the same. And working on your consistency will help a lot. But for the first bit, I think it's good to get the creative juices flowing, and this is probably going to be a bit of a pain. 1 second. I wonder if I can stand you guys up a little bit. Just need you up a little bit more while I tie these in. Good. Come on, you. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting a razor blade and cutting off your mistakes and starting over. The materials, generally speaking, is cheaper than the hook, so you can salvage the hook. You know, more power to you. Cool. Come on, buddy. Okay, we're just gonna go with 3 there and call it good, because I got half hitches too. It's one thing I haven't done. I seen Kraft do it where he tied a beard fly. I'm sure I'll do something like that at some point. But yeah, overall I'm happy with that guy. He's got a nice big fat little butt. Look at that. He's a thick boy. Yeah, exactly. Hey Case, good to have you in, mate. If you're not subscribed yet, feel free to pop the little button there. Come hang out with us. We're here most mornings. I'm just hitting this up with a Sharpie to cover a few of the hairs that are sticking through. To give us a nicer, cleaner head before we get the head cement on it. Yeah, he's got a big butt. He's a thick boy. Yeah, it's called a Henry Lake nymph from Henry Lake in Idaho. I lost my thread again. What is it with me and dropping my thread out of my bobbin? I'm normally pretty good about that. Here, let's, I'm gonna fix my bobbin here and I'll just give you guys a tip that I should be using, that I normally use, but I didn't. Thank you. Yeah, I find that this particular pattern, like the other one we tied that was really similar, the Telco Nymph. There we go. Where's some Telco Nymphs? I got them. They crammed all the way in the back. Well, there we are. All right, here. This is a Telco Nymph. This is another very popular nymph. Got a bunch of them on there. And it has like a same kind of pattern, same style, just has a ribbed peacock and a different tail structure. This one's really good too. But it's very similar nymph. And these work really good for, in my opinion, for trolling. So, before we get this tied off here and I get it all done up with the head cement, I'll just go over this little tip here. So, pretend that this is tied in. I'm not going to tie it back on the hook, but pretend it's tied in. When you go to cut it off, just take your finger and just push it over top, and that'll lock your thread in to your bobbin. So when you do cut it off and you pull it away, it doesn't slide out of your bobbin like that, and you'll hold it captured like that. That's a habit I normally do. For the last 2 flies I haven't for some reason. But yeah, if you start doing that every time you cut your bobbin off, it's a good habit to get into. You don't think about it after a while, and then your thread doesn't fall back through your bobbin. Alright, so we're going to throw a little Sally Hansen's on this as well after we get the head cement in. Yeah, it's a super simple little tip, but I mean, for the annoyance that rethreading your bobbin every time is, and especially when you're tying a bunch and you're going a little fast, or if you're filming like I'm doing, a lot of times your attention's elsewhere. And that can help. And if your eyesight's not so good and your fingers aren't so good, that'll help a lot with having to rethread your bobbin every 2 flies or so. There we go. Okay, so let's get a little bit of Sally Hansen's on that, and then we'll rotate it, and I'll give you guys a rundown on the fly. the Sally Hansen's is gonna mix in with the head cement. The head cement has a lot more. Oop, that was a mistake. Let me clean that up. I got a big goober on the side there. There. So if you do get it on your hackle or hair in this case, use your bodkin. You can clean that off after, and your finger, and you kind of squeegee it off, and most of it will stick to the bobbin. You won't have as much on your finger that way. Otherwise, your fingers get sticky, and you know, it's never a good time. All right, so we're just gonna rotate that. It's got a lot of glue on it now. Let's see if that's, yeah, that's not even close to straight. Dude. Why are you so wonky? That better? Well, it's slightly better. We'll go with that for now. That's a Henry Lake nymph. It is tied on a size 8 weighted 2 times long nymph hook from Tokens in this case. The tail is a gray fox squirrel with the gray sticking out, tied in about the length of the working body. The outer body is, or the inner body is yellow vintage chenille with gray squirrel over top, with a nice big fat butt and horns on either side split from the same gray squirrel. And that is a Henry Link nymph. Is originally tied for Henry Links in Idaho. It was very popular in Montana as well. And it's good when you're fishing deep. It should be fished as a deep nymph with weighted line and sinking line and retrieve back. Also, I have really good luck with these trolling as well. If you just want to paddle your canoe around, they work great for that. It's very similar to a Tycho nymph, just a lot bigger generally and more bulbous. There we be. Yeah, I have like, I don't know, 2 or 3 bobbin threaders, and I can't recall ever using them. There's a handful of brain's not working for me right now. There's a handful of threading materials that I'll use a bobbin threader for that are just hard to get through. Like if you're using like a 4-strand floss through a bobbin, it can be really handy to use the bobbin threader through, just so you don't wreck and have to cut off a big chunk of floss after, because it frays so easily. There's some synthetic underbodies that are similar to that can benefit from using a threader. Like the type of underbodies that you use for like the earthworm underbody or something, where you're trying to build the body up for a nymph. The word's escaping me, but it's like it almost looks like fluffy dental floss. It's not an antron, I think it's a poly. But in either case, that one's good to thread as well. You don't need to. Once you have it threaded through, you can always pull off anything that got damaged and cut off a fresh end. But anything that frays real easy can benefit from being pulled through with a bobbin, with a threader. And there's plenty of tires out there that have, you know, visual impairments and problems with arthritis and finger issues, and it's just really hard for them to pull that through. So that helps a lot. If they just can't get the thread through due to eyesight or lack of mobility in the fingers, that's one more fly that they can tie, you know? Just gonna stick my squirrel back in. So, if anyone has any comments, questions, concerns, accusations, feel free to throw them out there. This will be my last fly for the morning. I'm gonna get ready for work here. And if you haven't liked or subscribed, go ahead and pop the button while you still got a chance, so you can come hang out with us tomorrow morning. Generally speaking, I'm here most mornings around this time, or a little earlier if I get my butt up and in gear. But yeah, it's Henry length nymph. Quite happy with that one. So I just wanted to give a shout out for Wee Man, Ziggy, Glacier Shark, Case. Hopefully you stop back in tomorrow, mate. Good to see you again. Valhalla, as always. Didn't see Robert today, but I'll give him a shout out anyway. We had Victoria. We had. Did we have Maddie in? I think we had Maddie earlier. We had Linda. I don't think I'm missing everyone. I think I got everyone there. If I missed you, I apologize. Always good to have you all in here and do some tying in the morning. You guys have a good weekend too. Take care. Hopefully you like the fly. It's nice, bulbous, big-butted, horny little nymph. Good luck, everyone. Have a good morning.